And we are live. Yes, we're here a few minutes late. Why? Because Wi-Fi is not as good as hardwired internet. But this is what the standard is in society today. Yes, you are here at Litvak Leadership Live, and I am here with my new. Someone even liked that comment. That's hysterical. Brian did. Okay. So I am here with my new friend, Cindy Rowe, who Brian Weevil has introduced me to. So shout out to Brian. Hey, Cindy, how are you today?
I am fantastic now.
So, and Brian's here. He's got his T-shirt going on. So I got to tell you, when Brian said you need to talk to Cindy, and Cindy and I were talking, on Messenger about this, and trying to get to a day and time with Cindy was difficult because she's a busy woman. So I was very excited that we could work into your schedule. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I look forward to this opportunity.
So Cindy is a marketer extraordinaire, and I did not realize I was having marketeer extraordinaires on 2 days in a row. Do you know Rev Ciancio?
No.
So he was my guest yesterday, and he's all about marketing restaurants, which I don't think is your necessary niche, is it?
No.
Okay. So different conversation, different part of the country. So what part of the country are you in?
I am from the lovely state of Illinois, where it is 7 degrees today.
Oh, I'm from Elmhurst.
Oh, awesome. Yes. So
Okay.
right outside there, near Rockford.
Oh, near Rockford. Okay, yes. And there's Bruce from Chicago. But
Hi,
Bruce isn't
Bruce.
from Chicago. He acts like he's from Chicago, but he's in the northern suburbs. So, all right. So, Cindy, the first thing I want to know is when you on your website say, if you think you don't know jack about how to market yourself or your business, you're right on spot. Really? People know nothing? Tell us about that.
I think, well, I've been doing marketing for well over 20 years, and I feel like a lot of small business owners, and that's actually who I enjoy working with, the mom and pops, the small businesses, the entrepreneurs, they really struggle with knowing exactly how to market themselves and their
Mhm.
business. And my biggest thing is to educate them. And I love coaching, I love sharing my expertise. And a lot of business owners, they still want to have that control to do it themselves. So that's really my bread and butter. I like to help them figure out how to do it on their own rather than, paying a big firm to do their marketing for them.
So when someone decides to launch a business, they of course get a Facebook page, they probably get a website or a landing page, they start posting on Instagram, they may have a YouTube. I was talking to a Pinterest expert in our mastermind group a couple weeks ago. Where do you think people should be starting when they want to market themselves?
Well, they definitely need to have a website, and that is for um, validity, basically. People will go to Google and search you. If you don't have a website, then you're really not seen as being serious about your business, or maybe that people don't even trust that you're, who you say you are. The
Okay.
next is Facebook. That would be my number one place to be. Everybody's there and it's free to be there. You just have to know how to do it right. And be consistent. And then after that, it's really who your target audience is and where they're at, and really knowing who you want to market to. That was probably one of the biggest hurdles. People don't, they think that they have to go out to reach everybody where they're not really focusing on their exact audience and trying to find where those people are. And, that's part of what I like to help people with. So.
So when you talk to these entrepreneurs, small business owners, and they're all leaders in their own right, how do you convince them that they don't know what they don't know?
Well, and a lot of actually when they come to me, they've already realized that they're not good at marketing.
Okay.
Or when they stumble across me, like, so I don't necessarily have to convince them of that. It's just taking that leap of faith, knowing that maybe we connect and there's that trust factor that I can actually help them with their business. Most of them don't even want to deal with marketing. They think it's super complicated. They get frustrated, and they don't have time for it. So just allowing them to realize that, you know, somebody else is much better at this and I'm really, really good at running my business. So I'd rather have somebody else help me with that stuff and then I don't have to worry about it.
So I know the difference between sales and marketing, but what's the difference between advertising and marketing?
Well, marketing is really, that step before advertising, right? So you're putting yourself out there, you're branding yourself. It's the whole shebang, I guess, before you go out and place that ad. Um, Actually, when I went to college, I really wanted to be in advertising, but the college I went to didn't have an advertising program. So I chose marketing. Marketing's the creative aspects, the who, the what, the how, the where. Advertising is the platform that you use to tell people about that.
So what do you think is an example of marketing leadership?
Oh, that's a great question.
That's why
Marketing
we
leadership.
call Litvak leadership.
What's that?
I said that's why we're called Litvak leadership. We come up with great questions.
That's good. It's really good. Marketing leadership. Wow, I might have actually be speechless at this point. All right, rephrase that question.
So when people want to market or hire a marketer and they want someone who is on the cutting edge yet knows what they're doing, they're looking for a leader in marketing. How would you describe that individual?
Somebody that never stops learning. So, never thinking that they're better than everybody else, that they don't have anything else to learn, that they're a know-it-all. It's kind of funny. I have, like I said, well over 20 years experience in all realms of marketing, and I'm still constantly searching out the newest trends, getting, I take webinars all the time, trying to learn so that I can give this information to my clients or to my audience and share them so they don't have to sit through all the hours of everything to learn just that one little nugget that they can take to use in their business. So I feel like, being a leader is never stop learning, always trying to seek out what's new, hot, and where you can, take it for your business.
Okay, so other than Clubhouse, and Clubhouse doesn't work for me because I have an Android phone.
Me too.
Although I keep looking and Clubhouse is saying yes, we're working on it. So we're all going to get that earworm that everyone with an iPhone has. So what is the new hot marketing tip that you have for us today?
I and I've been saying this for a few months. I really feel like 2021 is the year of telling your story. And that's sharing why you're in business and what it is that you can do. I feel like connection is key. And I think the whole COVID situation that we're still in a year later,
Mhm.
has heightened that. So it might not necessarily be a specific tool or new app that us Android users can't use yet.
Right.
I'm itching to get on Clubhouse a lot, like majorly here, but I really think it's trying to figure out how to connect. And I think through storytelling is the is where it's at in 2021.
So when you talk about storytelling, and here we'll give Bruce his smarmy comment that Facebook is going to develop a clubhouse for iPhone challenged people. No, we're just not part of the cult. Okay, um, so when you say, see, and given Bruce a smarmy comeback, I totally lost my train of thought. So what was your last comment? Can't believe
I
I
was talking about storytelling, the importance
story.
of
Okay,
storytelling.
so how should we tell our stories? What platforms should we be using? What media within those platforms? What do you see as the most efficient and but more importantly, effective way to tell our stories?
Well, video is key. Number one, video is not going anywhere. It's been ramping up in speed as far as how people like to consume their information. Um, Again, I would say, putting that out on Facebook, stories on Instagram, reels on Instagram. If you really want to be on TikTok, go ahead. Um, but I really feel video is the way to really portray yourself. And people want to see you. Like they want to hear your voice. They want you to be raw. They want you to be real. I did a Facebook Live yesterday and I realized I was sitting in my office chair and I was twirling the whole time. But
I have a tendency to rock back and forth since I'm standing up. So
yeah. And I think, it makes me even more real. And I was just sharing something that was on my heart. It wasn't really a planned out presentation or whatever, but I, using video, I think is top. That's the best way.
So let's talk about using video. So we're here on live video, but then there's individuals like, Shay Rowbottom. I'm sure you've seen her on
Mhm.
Facebook and on LinkedIn. That she does all these very scripted, kind of herky jerky videos with lots of stuff going on. She's just started getting into live. Which do you think is most effective, going live or having a very scripted event?
I think there's a place for both, actually. And I
Okay.
think there's a time to be more scripted. There's a time to be raw and real. When you're trying to tell your story, doing that storytelling, I think live is the perfect place to be. When you're maybe giving tips and tricks and educational stuff, maybe that would be a place for the regular type of video where you can add in things and make it all fancy if you want. It's not necessary though. And that's the thing, is trying to tell, business owners that you don't have to have all the bells and whistles. You just need a smartphone, and it can be an Android,
Thank
and you
goodness.
can do some pretty amazing things just off of your smartphone. You don't need to have a tech crew, a videographer. You don't need all that. People want to connect with you that way. They don't want to see polished stuff all the time.
Well, and it's amazing because since I've started live streaming, and even before that, when I was in my mastermind group, Megamind, and we would get together on video, I realized my lighting was terrible because I had I have a ceiling fan above me, and when you are bald and there's a light above you, you get the dot on your head. So I have invested in some lighting, and I say invested that it was, I don't know, it was less than $75, and I've got what I think is pretty good lighting that people, they spend a little bit of money, you really get a lot out of it. What do you think are some of the tools that people need when they start out?
As far as for videos,
Sure.
a tripod.
Yeah. So before we were starting, Cindy was having Wi-Fi issues, and she doesn't have a tripod at home. And you know, I've got this sitting here just in case. And this was not bought for streaming. This was around the house, but it's got
Yeah.
a phone holder on it. So,
And
okay,
I
so
actually do, I have one of those. Like I said, it's at the office. I chose to stick around home today. But a tripod, a good microphone, if they're going to be doing a lot of videos,
okay,
um, lighting, like you said, you can get a ring light if you want. I don't know what kind of lighting you have, but a ring light, you can get all of that for less than $100.
oh yeah,
And it would just make your videos that much more polished, I think. And there's lots of apps out there that can help you if you were to record them and then post them later, that you can cut and add music and do all that fun stuff. Um, I don't have one like special one that I absolutely love. I think I use InShot app the most, for us Android users. iPhone users, I don't. I think iMovie is something that is really popular or something like that. Um, but I don't know for iPhone. Sorry for the majority of the people out there.
so you were in corporate America for a long time. Um,
Mhm.
why did you decide to take the leap out on your own?
Well, I have had it in my blood. I think I was born to be an entrepreneur. My father was an entrepreneur, saw him work really hard, and create something amazing. But even as a kid, I would be playing in my room and setting up a little play shop and pretending I had customers and I had to go stock the shelves. And I mean, it was a whole big ordeal. That was my childhood. Um,
Wow.
but then, you kind of get suckered into you've got to go to college and you have to, work in corporate America. And at that time, I kind of forgot about my childhood dream and I wanted to be this big corporate executive with this huge office and, six figures and the corner office with the windows and all that stuff. And I had it and I was completely miserable, and I realized that I wasn't making an impact on people, and
Okay.
and that's what's in my heart. So I actually did an experiment. So I worked in the financial industry during the wonderful uh, crash. um, and I was pretty much shoved in the corner. I was the vice president of marketing, and they stopped all marketing. It was for a small community bank, so the resources were pulled a little bit differently.
Sure.
But I don't know if any of my old coworkers, but I did an experiment one day, and I sat at my desk with sitting up straight, folded, did not pick up the phone, it didn't go on my laptop or my computer, and just sat there staring out my door until lunchtime because then I got so annoyed, and bored. But not one person said anything to me
Wow.
about why I was just sitting there. And I realized that not only didn't I have an impact on what I was doing for the business, I didn't have an impact on what I was doing in the office. And that made me realize that I needed to get out. That and crying on my way to work, but
I shouldn't laugh. Pete,
uh,
everyone's held a job at some point where they say, "Oh my," and that's like male version of crying. Okay, so Bruce says, "Isn't having a corporate experience valuable before going out on your own?"
oh yeah, I would not be successful if I didn't have that. I learned so much in all of my corporate positions. And actually, I just shared this on one of my pages that every corporate position I had ever, I was the very first person in that role. So I was able to mold it and define it and make it my own, which was pretty awesome. Um, and I think that has a lot to do with how successful I have been in my business because I'm willing to take the risks. I'm willing to try new things and see what works. And yeah, my corporate experience, I wouldn't change it for the world. I needed it. I needed to see how cruel people are, um, and realize, what return on investment looks like. Um, building relationships, networking, all that stuff I needed. And I think it has made me into, a pretty fantastic business owner.
So when you are first working with a new client, and they've obviously hired you, they want to build brand awareness. What kinds of topics are you talking to them about initially?
I really ask them, where they're struggling, what are their pain points. We really talk about what they've done in the past that has worked, hasn't worked, where their budget lies is a huge thing, because some small businesses have these grand ideas and they don't have the money to do it, and it not necessarily to pay me, but to put those ideas into place, into action.
Sure.
But it's just having that real raw conversation, and finding out what they've done, what they haven't done, you know and one of the things I do too is I help design websites. And one of the questions I ask people that are, whether they're never had a website before or they're looking to redesign it, I ask them, like, tell me your favorite websites that you go to. And it does not have to be in the industry that you're in, but that gives me an idea of the flow that you like, the look, the feel, and then we can help bring that into your website. And so that's very similar to any, you know, client situation, whether it's social media marketing management. Who do they follow? What do they like about what they're seeing? What do they hate about the experiences that they have, whether it's at a brick and mortar or just at, online? What is it that they hate? And that gives us a big clue on what not to do for them.
So I had one guest on who, and I don't recall if he said it during the show or either in the pre or post discussion, that he's almost at the point where he will never have a website again. He will just have landing pages so he can collect data. So what are your thoughts on websites versus landing pages? Do you need one? Is one better than the other? Do you need both? What do you think?
I think it really depends on your business. And definitely a landing page is worthwhile to collect data. Like the gentleman said, email addresses are golden. They are still work.
Mhm.
Email marketing is still a, a solid way to get your message out there. And I don't think every business needs to have a full-blown website. I almost call it like a online business card. So you just have your basic information, but it makes you look like your real business. So yeah, landing page would be perfect for that.
So my friend Jill Haas works with a text marketing company, specifically in the food industry. And then, Gary Vanderchuk is huge on texting. So
Yes.
when you're balancing, push notifications, text notifications, an email program, oh, there's so much spinning in front of me. Where do you start? What is the place for each?
I think it's the business goals and how they want to reach their customers and what they're going to be able to keep up with. I had a client who had access to, I don't know, hundreds upon hundreds of phone numbers for the text messaging, and he never utilized it. And I was like,
Okay.
you are missing out. And he's got a subscription service where uh, he could send out reminders like, hey, you have to get your order in by, Monday at noon if you want your delivery done, this week, type of thing. So there's a lot of different ways he could utilize that. And after working together, he finally got into a system. I'm like, you can schedule those out. That you could do a whole month in an hour, that you don't have to worry about it. Same thing with the email marketing. I I don't utilize. That's kind of one of my business goals this year, is to do more email marketing. Not necessarily to bombard people with uh, purchasing or selling myself, but more tips and providing education, which is what I really love to do, but try to be more on point with that. And what else did you say?
Text. Well, no, and push notifications.
Push. Yeah, I actually have not had any of my clients utilize push notifications. And I almost would say that might not be most beneficial to a small business owner unless they're willing to be consistent and stay on top of it. And I think that's where a lot of the small businesses struggle, is consistency. So you can have all these things in place, but if you only do it every once in a while, you're not going to be seen.
Well, and it was funny because I was having lunch with some friends earlier this week, and we were talking about they wanted to raise their social media awareness of what they do, and they thought that perhaps them and myself, we could get together and do something. And I suggested a weekly live stream where we would get in and talk about the real estate industry. And one person was all in, and the other person's like, no, I could only do it once a month. And my response was, well, why bother? Because if
Yeah.
you're only going to do it once a month, in my opinion, and tell me if I'm wrong, if you're going to do a live stream or a podcast, it's got to be a minimum of weekly.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to grow
Sure.
and keep that following, and you're consistent with this one, right? So it's always at, a certain time every day of the week, or so many days a week,
Yeah.
that, so people actually that are following you, they look forward to it. They know, they anticipate it's
Yeah.
coming up. So whether they can watch it live or not, there's still options to go and watch it.
There's replay. There's
Right.
always replay. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
I mean, we are Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, and I would say that's probably 95% of the time. And depending upon scheduling, sometimes it's later. But
Yeah.
that is the rarity as opposed to the rule. So, where do you go for inspirational leadership?
Ooh. I am a huge John Maxwell fan. And when I'm feeling, a little struggles in that department, I usually reach out and pull out a book or so of his. I love Gary Vee too, especially with social media. He's definitely a leader in my book. So those are the two main guys I think I would lean on.
So this morning, and I was, and I do my best to do this every day. I'm a man of faith, so I was reading the Bible this morning, and as I was looking at it and underlining things, I realized how so much of what I was reading could be applied to the business world. So, what role does faith play in your life for what you're doing in marketing?
I faith has been a rare thing growing up. How about we went uh, to church occasionally, and my family moved when I was in eighth grade, and then we never found a church, a local church. I went through some situations where my girlfriends suggested that I find my faith again, and got me back into going to church. And then I had a horrible. I actually chose to get baptized again, and um, shortly thereafter, I would say, I think it was a week later, 2 weeks later, I was in a horrible car accident,
Oh, I'm so sorry.
and it shook my world, and I was very angry um, at, well, not only situation, but I felt angry towards God, and that this shouldn't have happened. I just gave you, I just turned over, and
Yeah.
and this is how you repay me. But through that whole transition um, of healing from my car accident, um, I know uh, that having that strong faith, building my business, helped me. I guess my faith helped me build my strong business. It helped me with my integrity and how I built my business, which, looking back after my car accident, I didn't lose any clients. And I couldn't work. I couldn't work for a few months, and nobody walked away from me. And I realized at that point I did all the right things on how I built my business, and my clients wanted my health.
That's
They
great.
wanted me to be better, and I knew it was, well, one, by the grace of God, that I survived the accident. um, so at the moment, I was so angry at him. But looking back and looking forward, it's because of him that
Awesome.
I have it.
That's a
So.
great story. See, communicating the story, just like you said. And then there's Smarmy Bruce. Sometimes the show is at 3:02 Eastern. Thank you, Bruce.
As in today.
So,
But,
how do you communicate strategy to your clients?
oh, I wish it was easy. You would not believe how many people that I work with, or even in general, do not have a strategy for their business, whether it's a marketing plan or a business plan. And when we were able to do live events, I would do monthly lunch and learns. I called them workshops, trainings, whatever. And I asked one group, and it was all through the Chamber of Commerce here, how many people had a business plan. I think I had two people in the whole crowd, and not one had a marketing plan. And I feel like business owners, they're just overstressed. They've got so much on their plate that they don't even think about the strategy. And really, when you sit down, like every year around November, between November and December, I sit down and I figure out not only my personal goals, but my business goals and where I want to see myself. And not a lot of people do that. And then taking it that one step further of all right, this is my goal. How am I going to get there? Backing it up the steps. So um, I I actually just got an email this morning about somebody that wants a strategy plan with me, and I got super, super excited. I don't get those very often, but talking to business owners on the importance of strategy is what's going to make them successful. And I share this all the time with social media. You can't just wake up today and be like, okay, what am I going to post? And just grab something out of the air and post it and think that it's going to work.
Right.
You have to have a strategy. You have to know what you want to get out of posting that specific thing. What kind of result do you want? And if you don't have that, you're not going to see any success. And then you're going to just say that social media marketing doesn't work. And in fact, you're wrong. It works.
And you know why they're wrong? Because they don't know Jack.
Right. They don't know Jack.
They don't know Jack. So we've gone almost, a matter of fact, we've gone almost 35 minutes on our 30-minute show.
Ooh, oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's
That's
good. I would have cut you off sooner if there was an issue. Don't worry about it. So now that we're here in the final couple minutes, sit back, think, and what can you tell our audience to help them market themselves moving forward?
Yeah, you need to know who you want to market to. You need to know your target audience. Once you have that, you need to find out where they're at. Where are they most vocal? And then do whatever you can to create a plan, strategy, be consistent, be authentic. You can enjoy watching other people do their stuff in your same industry, but take it and voice it the way that it comes authentically from you, and share, be consistent. And like I said earlier, share your story, be vulnerable. People want to see that real, raw you. That's how you're going to connect. That's how you're going to build loyalty and trust. And that's really where you're going to get that base of great customers, and that's what everybody wants.
That is great advice. That is fantastic. You use the word raw a lot, so I'm going to have to, let that marinate a little bit as to, what is the appropriate raw. So, and I like sushi. So that does work out well. And I don't know where I'm going with that, but sushi is good. So, a raw video probably is very, very good too. So, Cindy, thank you so much for being my guest today.
Thank you.
Great bits of information, great wisdom, understanding, and knowledge that you communicated to everyone. I really appreciate you being here and taking time out of your busy day to share with us all.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity. It was wonderful. Sorry
Awesome.
for the hiccup in the beginning.
Oh, you are perfectly fine. Everyone else, that's Litvak Leadership Live for today. We will be back tomorrow with another guest. Oh, our guest tomorrow. Oh, lives in Egypt, former military, kind of military, published hundreds of times. It's going to be a really interesting conversation, completely different than this one. So maybe some world events tomorrow. That's it.